As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be.
Oh man, it's 8 o'clock.
And so that'll make it a.
I don't need the spotlight. I shine just fine.
Hi, I'm Karma, and yes, I am a bitch.
BravBros. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of BravBros, your favorite podcast from the bros for everybody, for whoever wants to listen. I am your co-host, Steele Russell, joined as always by the one and only Shoot Scoots Magoots. What's up, dude?
Well, it's March 3rd, so I want to congratulate everybody on making it through the winter.
Oh, nice job, everybody.
Yeah, sincerely, great job, everyone. It's spring now, so you don't have to worry about anything. And I know we're probably going to get hit with a snowstorm because I'm saying this.
More than likely.
It always happens in March. But congratulations. You got through the dark months of winter. It's starting to get a little light out a little earlier. And I know that you got a jump start on the spring break by going down to Florida.
Yeah, I was in Key West. Again, congratulations, everyone, on making it through winter. I will say,
very proud of you.
Before I get into Key West, I will say, very mild winter.
Mm-hmm.
Slightly alarming for the state of the world.
Well, I also like snow too.
I like one. I like one good snowstorm.
Yeah,
and then I'm good.
Yeah.
But it was an enjoyable winter. I was cozy the whole time. I hate the days in February when it's like 2 degrees outside and I have to get up early, go to the gym, and I just hate it. Ruins my whole day.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm actually happy that we had a warm winter. But anyway, I was in Key West. I was down there for a wedding, and it was like a wedding/vacation because the wedding was on a Thursday, which is nice.
Love that.
Yeah, we love a good Thursday wedding. So then we had Friday, Saturday to kind of just chill in the Keys, had a lot of good food, got some sun. I'm nice and bronzed right now, which I'm going to carry over into the summer.
Nice. So it's going to last a couple months? You think so?
Oh, dude, I stay tan all year.
Yeah, I know. But like you got one good base down in Florida in February, and you think you're just going to.
Oh, I'm about to school you with some knowledge right
You're
now.
going to get spray tanned. We all know it.
I've never gotten spray tan in my life. I am a very proud Native American. And because of that, I have very tan skin. I'm tan all year round. It's a very nice quality. It's probably my favorite thing about myself, honestly, is that I get to stay tan all
Let's
year
open this
round.
box.
No. Let's keep that box shut. But overall, good trip. The wedding was beautiful. It was a beautiful service.
Now I got to ask, did you tell the bride and groom about your experience with the cake?
No, I didn't. I didn't
All right,
want
so
to
you
ruin
kept
it
it to
for them.
yourself.
I did. Well,
Unless they listen to us.
I didn't want to insert myself. They're still happy. They don't want to know the cake's going to suck in a year. And also, so the bride is a client at the gym. She takes some of my classes and apparently was pissed at me because I was trying to motivate. And instead, I guess I made her mad because I was like, they were doing this thing. It's called a Versa climber. And you got to move the handles and you got to move the handles with the feet at the same time. Versa climbers suck. They're really hard. We started the round and she was, to her credit, like just getting used to it because it takes a while to get used to it.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'll stand here all day. We're going to go? You ready to go? You ready to go? And just trying to motivate, like, ha. Some people don't get my sarcasm out of the gate, which is a different issue because people think I'm an asshole.
I can't imagine how they wouldn't do that.
It's hard to pick up.
Yeah.
It's hard to pick up. But my initial, first impression with most people, they think I'm an asshole. They get to know me, like, oh, wow, you're really sweet and nice. But first impression, a lot of times, they think I'm a douchebag.
I can see that.
It's something I know I can too. Yeah. It's something I live with, I've come to terms with, and apparently the bride was mad at me before the wedding. I said congrats, I apologized, I said I was just trying to motivate. We moved on. I think she likes me now.
All right, cool.
But,
so maybe just slide some hints in there. Be like, how are you gonna keep that cake? You got to put it in a nice little vacuum sealed container. Make sure it stays in there. Don't put it in a piece of tin foil like I did.
No, we didn't even use tin foil. It was strictly in the thinnest cardboard box they make.
Okay.
So it might be a user error.
We got to get some comments on this. I'm surprised we didn't get any this week.
We did. We got one message from
did we?
somebody that said they didn't even eat the cake.
Oh, so it's still in their freezer.
Oh, I didn't ask. I should have followed up.
Yeah, dig into that.
Yeah, my bad. I got to do some more research there. But,
how's your marriage doing? You didn't eat the cake?
Oh, I thought you were actually asking. I was like, oh, we're great. Thanks.
Oh, you?
Yeah, I was like,
no, you're fine.
Yeah, no, we're good. But enough rambling. Let's get into the news for the day before our Rose and Thorn. Up first, little Potomac action. So we saw in the reunion this week that Mia claims that Wendy fooled around with Peter.
Mm-hmm.
And she has receipts and she gets all giddy about it, whatever. Peter goes on Instagram like immediately after the fact and was like, I don't know where this is coming from. This never happened. And then calls Mia thirsty.
Yeah. Well, he did say, like, you turned 5 minutes of my business conversation with Wendy into 9 episodes.
Oh, he said
And
that. I
that
didn't see
was like
part.
the most like realization that I've ever seen from like an outside party. I mean, obviously, like we interviewed Chris, we interviewed other people, and we hear about, you know, the editing and how things work. Peter's sitting there, he's like, I had one conversation with her, like it didn't matter. It was, you know, it didn't work out. Shit happens all the time. This is business. And Mia turned it into so much more than what it was. And look, I mean, towards the end of the season, we were like, all right, like I can get behind Mia coming back. I understand who she is, and I can kind of appreciate some of the things that she brings to each scene. But now I'm right back to square one. I'm like, oh, nah, dude. Like now I've completely forgot. I was like, Mia's a dog. Like she will just jump at anything, and she tries to make a storyline. She tries to be iconic. She tries to do all this shit and like peddle all this bullshit. And now when Peter comes out and does this, I'm like, oh yeah, that's how we felt about Mia.
Yeah, it's a quick reminder, quick jaunt back down to earth, if
Yeah.
you will.
And then did you see
I saw G's response.
G's response?
It
I didn't get it.
It got a little erratic. I didn't understand what was going on.
Like, Peter didn't say that he didn't know you. Peter was just like, I don't understand why you're doing this and why you're disrespecting a woman who's married to try to push this storyline on a show so that you can get a check from Bravo. Like, that all makes sense. That's very logic and sound reasoning by Peter. G comes back and he's like, you're going to act like you don't know us? You were the first man to hold my baby girl aside from me. It's like,
Yeah,
why are you making it so weird?
I got
But
so
that's why
in
we
depth.
don't need more G on TV, I feel
No,
like.
we
He's
really
just like a
don't.
weird dude.
We really don't. He needs to just stay in the background
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, his one chance in the limelight, I didn't get it either. I was like, why are we bringing your children into this? Rule number 1, bro, leave the kids out of it. And number 2, that's not what he was saying.
Not at all.
Not even remotely. So for you to try to make it personal to go back at Peter doesn't make a
Yeah,
whole
and then
lot of
say, like,
sense.
you had to spend $60,000 to, like, help him keep his bar afloat or whatever.
What does
It's
that have to
just,
do with
it
it?
had nothing to do with anything. Peter was responding to the allegations of you saying that he slept with a married woman,
Which is
which he didn't do.
No, he didn't. And
And
that's
we all knew he didn't do it. We all knew that Mia was lying, and that's how we got back to square one with Mia. So,
Yep.
whatever.
We're back, baby.
Yeah.
Up next is some news from a franchise that we have not watched yet. And we've got a lot of people that have asked if we're going to get into Atlanta, and we are going to next season. We missed the boat this year. The way that it timed up, that's when we started the podcast, really. And
Yeah, I think Atlanta was already more than halfway through.
yeah, we
when Beverly
missed
Hills started.
right, and Beverly Hills just so happened to be timing up with right when we wanted to start. So
Mm-hmm.
we are going to get into Atlanta, but news out of Atlanta: Ralph Pittman and Drew Sidora are divorced, are getting divorced. And again, I don't know enough to like really speak on it, but I will say I loved how petty this is because I guess he was gonna file. She filed like 61 minutes before he was able to
Awesome.
file. Yeah, she's like, no, fuck that. I'm getting there first.
Yeah, I love that.
So we've heard nothing but good things about Atlanta. I'm excited to get into it next year.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so yes, we are going to do Atlanta. Stay tuned. Keep listening to us for another year, and you'll hear that.
Yeah, or a couple months.
I guess so, yeah.
I think they'll probably be out over the summer.
Yeah, good call. Good call.
Yeah.
But now we're on to a little Rose and Thorn action. And why don't you go first this week? I think I've gone first the last
Alright,
couple.
cool. Yeah, no, I'm pulling in. I'm going Rose first because we've been getting a lot of love recently, and I love it. This is a review that we actually got on Apple. It's from Deidre Mack. I'm a black woman who loved Bravo for many years. I really enjoy your recaps and your hot takes. You have a fun perspective, and you're unapologetic with your takes. That's what makes this community fun for me. We love to love, in parentheses, or hate, our Bravo peeps. And if we were all the same, how boring, LOL.
I like that.
I'm like, I get that. Like, and that's nice because it gives us a little kudos for having a different perspective.
Sure.
And she likes that there's a different perspective out there. That's what we're here for. So, yeah.
I like that she also is comfortable with the fact that there are differing opinions out here.
Mhm.
Like, that's what drives our podcast. It's what drives these shows.
Yeah.
It's literally why we all watch, is to give our opinions on the matter, knowing that there are counterpoints. It doesn't mean you have to get up in arms if somebody doesn't agree with you and call us idiots.
But it's going to happen anyway.
It will happen every
I
week.
do also love that, and completely indirectly, but now people are saying that they're cishet bros.
Cishet has
cishet has
become
hooked on.
Yeah, I know. I've
And it's
seen
so funny.
multiple comments, multiple reviews. It's come back up. So yeah, that is our label.
Yes, that's our thing.
Yeah, that's us.
My thorn, because honestly, we had a pretty good week. I don't think, and maybe yours is different, but not too many people were mean to us online. And you know what?
My thorn came from today because of when we did our live recap with Zach.
Oh, God.
Somebody already left a mean one. So
Yeah, that's a good plug too. We did a live with Zach Peter today, just talking about Jersey and talking about our upcoming live show.
Yeah, baby.
So, just plugging that in there. We'll be talking about it for weeks to come. So
We got a live show. Well, you got to plug the whole thing.
No, they'll be on the lookout over the next couple of weeks.
No, April 27th. We're the worst droppers ever. We also forget to plug our social media until the end of the episode when everybody's already stopped listening.
Yeah, we got to start doing that at the beginning.
We suck. But April 27th, City Winery in Philadelphia. If you're in Philly, get a ticket. If you're in New York, come down to Philly, get a ticket. If you're in Boston, take the train down, get a ticket. If you're in Canada, what do you get a passport for? I'll tell you what, to come down and watch the BravBros in Philly.
If you're in D.C., Chris Bassett will probably give you a ride up.
Yeah, Chris.
Putting them on the hook.
Ask Chris for a ride.
Yeah, honestly. Reach out to Chris and just say, hey, can I get a ride up? Yeah.
But
yeah, so my thorn is actually during our, I guess one of our clips last week, everybody got super hyper-focused, which I can appreciate because you and I get hyper-focused on the weirdest shit when we're watching these shows. They got very focused on your front door being slightly open.
I know.
And I thought it was a reference to your barn doors open. Like I was looking at my fly and then I was like, oh, maybe they're talking about Steele because Steele had this really petite cutoff shirt. I'm calling it petite cutoff shirt. And I'm like, oh, maybe Steele had a little nip slip and they're talking about a front door over there. No, your front door was just slightly cracked.
Yeah.
And there were 4 or 5 comments about it. I'm like,
a lot of people made them uncomfortable. And I think that what they need to know, I have a glass door, kind of like a screen door, John, in front of it.
Yeah.
So it's not open. It's ajar, and it's okay.
We're okay.
But by the way, to all of you that pointed it out, had I been watching, I would have said the same thing. It would have bugged me. So I get it. But I'm going to go and start out with my thorn. I'm not going to read his name, but Zach, word to the wise. Only have people that know who these players are on your show. This is ridiculous. Who are these guys?
Players.
There's so much for me to unpack on this one. It's one, we do know what we're talking about, at least to a certain extent.
Yeah.
2, we've been on Zach's show. This is our 3rd time.
Yeah.
So you might be new to the party, guy, if you don't know. All right, we're the fucking BravBros. We're Shooter and Steele. And if you got a problem,
listen to us.
And if you still have a problem,
and subscribe.
Yeah. If you still have a problem, like one of our pictures, comment, and we'll talk to you then.
Yeah, that's brutal.
But for my rose was a message that we got that was really sweet. And it's from Laura Carolina. And it says, you guys keep getting better and better each podcast. You guys remind me of our group of friends, and I love it.
That's nice.
Yeah.
We are your group of friends. We don't remind you of them. We are the group of friends.
We are those guys.
Yeah.
And I think that one resonated with me the most because that's kind of my goal when we're here, is I want people to feel like they connect with us actually as friends. I want them to feel like they're listening to their buddies talking shit about Bravo.
Well, I don't know, how do you, when you listen to podcasts, do you respond in the car when you're driving?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay. 'Cause I'll just laugh. I don't really get involved in the conversation. And I didn't know that people did that until I think I was driving down the shore with Colleen and she was listening to our show.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking over myself. And she's like, can you stop? I'm trying to listen to my podcast. And she was dead serious too.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh yeah, sorry. And then she kept driving. And then she responds to something that you say, laughs a little bit, responds to something that I say. And I'm like, is this normal? Do people do this?
Dev did it today. She wanted to see the Zach Peter interview. And we watched it on the TV. And literally as we're both talking, she's going, mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Oh, that's a good point. And so, yeah, that's I experienced that today.
That's pretty funny.
But let's get into it. We still have a ton of shows to cover. We are getting very close to our 2 episodes. We're not just leading you guys on. It is happening soon, and it's actually going to benefit us because it's a lot to remember. But up first, we're going back to Jersey.
I think that's a good memoir name, actually. A lot to remember.
A lot to remember. By the BravBros. A memoir about 2 morons. But we're in Jersey, and I loved the intro. It's all the dudes getting back from dinner, just wasted.
Yeah.
And for a couple reasons. Because so in any group of guys, all right, there are some archetypes. Like there's characters in each group. And if you don't hang out with dudes, you don't know that. But there's always the guy that claims he's the biggest drinker. We got Fuda, right?
Yeah.
We got the guy that, oh, that was such an easy night. These guys are lightweights.
Wearing sunglasses on the way in
Correct.
at 1 o'clock in the morning.
That's Nate. You got the guy that gets too emotional, Joe. Like you got certain tropes that you hit.
Yeah, we didn't see Joe come in.
No, you didn't see Joe come in, and then you got Evan, who's like just the nice guy that's just bombed, that like doesn't hang out with them all the time, but when he does go out, like they love
He's
to
got
get
his
him
pants
drunk.
off within like 30 seconds of being home. Yeah.
Totally. Like they're all these guys hit those nails on the head, and it made me laugh. I was like, oh, I've got friends like all of these guys.
Exactly.
Which one were you?
I don't know. I'm usually the guy that comes back and quietly has like another beer thinking I'm getting away with it. And Colleen can hear me like trouncing around in the kitchen. Like, what are you doing down here? Oh, okay. I was being quiet. I don't even know what you
I
heard.
was just getting
That's
out of
me. I'm a different. Yeah, I'm a
bar.
different. Or Joe Benino, and I'm in bed falling asleep.
You know
Like,
what you're
talking a big game and then just falling right.
You know what you are really good at?
What's that?
You will disappear
Yeah.
and then reappear 2 hours later, like ready to go.
Yeah.
Just kind of like take a minute, come back, and then it's like I don't notice you're back, and I'll turn around and you're shotgunning a beer in the corner, like woo.
I don't know where I was.
But anyway, we get kind of a split scene here, which we love a good split scene, and we got Louis and Teresa on one side, then you got Joe and Melissa on the other side, and where are you on this feud? Like, are you over it yet? Do we need to move on? Are you still?
I'm starting to get to the point where I'm not necessarily over it, but I think I am over analyzing it.
Okay.
And it's not helping the situation by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm getting to the point now where a lot of people had an issue with Louis writing little notes and passing it to Teresa. I think that's fine. Like, it was an emotional conversation for her to have. Again, we're looking at this how it's presented. I'm not looking at it like Teresa's playing a game and doing all this bullshit. I'm looking at it how it's presented. And it looks like a pretty heavy conversation between Teresa and Joe, and she has to work up the courage to call him to, make sure that Joe's coming to their love bubble party. And Louis calm, cool, and collected, just passing notes over, like, hey, ask him about this. Is he coming to the party? Tell him that you love him, like all this shit. And I have no issues with that. People are like, oh, he's manipulating the situation. Like, no, you're just so desperate to think that he's manipulating situations that you're just, that's all you're seeing. Like, look at it like a reasonable person, which I guess a lot of people can't do. I think that Joe is just dragging this on too long.
Yeah.
And he can end it at any time. And look, if he's afraid to get hurt again, he doesn't want to make up with her just to start fighting again, whatever, then that's a whole other issue. Maybe you've done it 15, 20 times, and then just cut it off. Like, if that's what you want, then just completely clean break and then maybe revisit it in like a couple years. If that's what you need, like a couple months, whatever. But he's dragging it on a little bit. And I think he's kind of putting Melissa in a shitty spot, because you see Melissa has to go to the party later. She has no one, and we'll get there, but she has no one to kind of console her when things are going awry. Joe is being selfish and staying home to continue this storyline, and there's no other way to put it. He's continuing this storyline for the show, and that's kind of how it looks. Your original question was whether or not I'm over it. I'm not over it yet, because there's really no resolution.
Yeah.
But after another episode, if we're still just kind of here and it doesn't come to a head, yeah, I'm going to be over it.
I think you brought up a really good point, and I really haven't thought of it like that. And I think that I'm falling victim to the same thing that you are, is overanalyzing. I think I'm thinking too far into all of this instead of taking a step back. It never even occurred to me like a clean break.
Yeah.
Until you just said that, I didn't even think about that being an option. And you know what? I think that would be the best move. I don't think that is possible because they're on the show.
Yeah, like if you being Joe and Melissa want to remain on this show, there's just no way that you
and
have a clean break.
You're getting sued for $100K, then you probably need the show to pay for your legal bills. So I think on paper that makes the most sense.
Yep.
Clean break, go our separate ways, reconvene in a year or two and see where we're at. I am trying my best to see this from Joe and Melissa's side as well. I'm trying to stay as objective as possible. And like, we had a moment today where somebody commented while we were doing our live stream, and they're like, well, Melissa's mom and sister said a lot of bad things on social media about Teresa during that whole thing. So that's a reason not to invite them. And that's a very good counterpoint to us being like, just like invite them. I don't understand why. So,
Yeah.
okay, that makes sense. And there's obviously a lot more to this that we don't know. So can I see from that side, like, we don't want to get hurt again. We've done this song and dance before. It's not worth it. Sure. Okay. That makes sense to me. However, if you're going to talk behind closed doors that you want to figure things out, you want to move on. It's so sad. This family's being broken up. Like, I need this. I want that. And then she does extend an olive branch, and we've talked about it. And I don't want to beat a dead horse, but you need to give. She gave a little bit.
Yep.
Come to the party. Come to my wedding. That's a little bit of a give. Is it genuine? Maybe not. Maybe it is saving face, but it's some kind of extension. It's some chance to try to resolve things. You need to give a little bit too. You don't have to like swallow your pride entirely and be like, all right, I'm giving in, you win.
Yeah.
But at least be open to the idea. Be like, you know what? I am going to go to this party for an hour.
Yeah.
I'm going to go show my face, support my wife, and then get out. And then maybe that's a step forward. But you have to bite the bullet a little bit to make a step forward, or you're just going to stay in the same spot.
That's a good point. And looking at it from even from the show's perspective, like if you're Joe, all emotions aside on kind of treating them like they're all real people and trying to fix these, emotional damages that have occurred over the years. If you're looking at it from Joe and you really do want to play this game, you're fucking losing, bro.
Yeah.
Like you are losing because you kind of look like a crybaby and you're being very selfish. You're staying far away. Like you have to insert yourself. If you want to win this game, so to speak, you have to go to that party. You have to show face. You have to have a conversation with Teresa. If you really do feel like there's no way that you can fix it, go say it to her face to face. Don't hide. Don't stay home when she's giving you the olive branch, because at the end of the day, you didn't show up to the party. Teresa gets to take that shot later about the chosen family.
Yeah.
If you're there and she says the same thing, then nobody's going to say a word because they're going to be like, oh, she means chosen family, like we chose our friends to be part of our family. Isn't that nice? But you're not there. Now it's a fucking shot.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not there to defend yourself, and your wife gets left out to dry. Like you are losing.
Yeah, that's a
And
really
you
good
gotta
point.
you gotta show up if you want to win the fucking game, bro.
That's a great.
I love calling him bro. Like I gotta do that with him.
Look, I think you said it perfectly. I don't think I need to add to it. That's 100% right. And the next scene, I only want to touch on briefly because Frank Jr. is Frank.
Yeah, he is.
Dude, I thought that they hired an actor to play young Frank.
I think he's a little more put together.
Yeah.
He carried the conversation pretty well. He had a lot of good points. And he just wants a life where both his dad and his mom and boyfriend can all live together in harmony.
Yeah.
But he's not as like bullish as Frank is.
No, he's more soft spoken, and it's just his mannerisms and like the cadence in which he talks. I was like, oh my God, that's mini Frank.
Yeah. Genetics are crazy, man.
But moving on to Jen and Bill, what do you think? We talked about it with Zach a little bit earlier, but what's going on with this marriage? Like, what the fuck? Because I don't care what kind of shit Dev was talking in public. It could be the most outrageous claim in the world. I would never, ever not take her side in public. Like, if shit was popping off, I got her back. And then at home, I'd be like, yo, dude, what was that? Like, then we'd have a conversation, like, so we get on the same page. But I would never not support her in public.
I really do just think that Bill is, and we said it last week, I think he's just so checked out of all the situations on this show, and hopefully not his marriage entirely, although we've seen kind of the writing on the wall where maybe he is. Like, he didn't even tell his wife that he got a new Ferrari. She thought that he was going
with a Ferrari.
She thought that he was going to get his older Ferrari serviced, and he came back with a brand new one. So I don't know. I mean, I don't like to analyze other people's marriages that much, but this is a show, so I will analyze a marriage.
Yeah, it's our job, Dick.
But no, I think he's so steadfast on this, like, make peace at all times, don't fight. And I guess that's just like where he is and what he wants to do, that it's just so foreign for him to just tell his wife, like, yeah, absolutely, like, she deserves for you to say that to her. Or, no, absolutely, like, you are the most what was the self-reflect? You are the most self-reflective person in this group. Like, he can't even bring himself to say that. He just has to try to deflect and just push down this. I don't want to call it anger, because I think that Jennifer's just frustrated in most situations, that he can't even just play her side. He just has to try to make peace all the time. And he just doesn't want any issues. He just doesn't want any turmoil around him. And it kind of sucks for Jen, because you see her kind of floundering and she's like, just fucking back me up. Like, even just once, just back me up once. And he can't even do it then. Like, when it's just the two of them sitting there, he can't even do it then. So that sucks for Jen. I do feel pretty bad for her. But I don't know what exactly his mindset is on this marriage.
I mean, I guess you're right. I think my one question for you then would be, if he was fully invested in this marriage, do you think he would have an opinion? Do you think he would be more like, whoa, 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 like stand up and take her side? And like, I'm not saying cause a scene. I'm not saying like get up in arms and like yell at anybody, but would
Yeah.
he be more defensive of her?
Yeah, I mean, it's rough to say, but I feel like if he truly was like in love with Jennifer, I feel like he would be compelled to take her side at least once. And we've never seen him just fully take her side.
You know what I really
So it
think?
is tough.
I really think, we see it with Jen's mom,
Mm-hmm.
right? She openly talks about how she wants to leave her husband. And
Yeah.
like, are we watching that take shape? Are we watching that happen?
I hope not.
I hope
I
not.
never want to
Yeah,
pray on
no,
that downfall, but
yeah, no, we're not.
I mean, the clues are there for sure.
I
It's
mean,
hard to say that they're not.
it'll be interesting to watch it kind of shake out. But
Just kind of building off of kind of where Jennifer Aiden is right now, you get a scene where the newbies pop up and it's Rachel Fuda and Jen Fessler going out to lunch. I did think it was funny that Jen Fessler was like, absolutely not. Like, I'm not sharing my pizza with you. Like, no.
I loved that move.
I think that's a good move, especially like I'll do it with my fiance. If we're, grabbing a quick bite to eat, like I'll share a pizza with her, a little flatbread or something. But if I'm out with my friends, like if I'm out with you, unless we're getting like 40 wings, I'm not splitting shit with you.
No, we'll split apps, but that's it.
Yeah, but not the entree. Like,
Yeah.
you want to share a T-bone steak? Like, no. Like,
I feel bad.
who gets to gnaw at the bone at the end?
I feel bad for Dev because she will be like, hey, let's just share this. I'm like, nah.
Because you're going to be hungry later.
We've gotten to the point now where like I will order something
Yeah.
and she will order something and then we'll share off of each
That's
other's
fine,
plates.
because then you'll, bounce. But that's
I,
also your
I'm
wife.
not, yeah, but I'm not a sharing plate guy. Like,
No.
I can't order one entree and just split it because I'll be starving.
Exactly. But we do get to see a little bit of insight into kind of how they're acclimating into the group. And Jen Fessler's known Marge for however long, and Rachel's relatively new, and she knows through back channels of Frank, and we get to learn all about that. Here we find out that they've both had an extensive conversation with Jen Aiden, which started off as something innocuous, just kind of talking about whatever, unless you're talking about nose jobs, which is, whatever.
Came out
But,
of nowhere.
but here, Jen is complaining about Dolores behind her back to these new people. And you got to wonder, like, and we saw it in the first episode, Jen kind of cornered all the newbies, and the newbies were like, oh, like, what's going on over here? Let's find out what's going on. Let's get some tea. And it ends up that's just Jen bitching about Dolores and putting them in a bad position. And luckily, they all kind of moved on and were like, I'm not going to just take somebody's side. I don't know each other. We don't know anything about this fight. We don't know each other at all. So you get to kind of see Rachel and Jen Fessler talking about it. And Jen Fessler goes, well, she was complaining about Marge to me. Does she not know that I'm good friends with Marge? And then we find out later that they FaceTime Marge, and that there was a whole fucking thing. Jen Aiden, I understand the fights that she's getting into, and I understand why she has issues with these women. Maybe not as much Dolores, as much Marge, because everybody should have an issue with Marge. Let's put it there.
Agreed.
I have an issue with Marge. I'm calling it out. We've got beef. But to then sit there and talk to other people about it is rough. Like, you already got in trouble for that in the first episode. You're going to continue to do that over the phone and then think it's not going to blow up in your face later. It's a bad move. Just, I don't know. Maybe she can't talk to her husband about it, so she's talking to whoever wants to listen.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that she's lonely. I think that she doesn't have support at home. And I think she doesn't have support in the group. So I think she's trying to find that. So she's like, oh, new blood.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, be on my team. But it's hysterical to me that the two people you call and the two people you bitch about are two people that are friends for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you literally called Rachel Fuda to complain about Dolores. They've been friends for like 10 plus years. You
Yep.
called Jen Fessler to complain about Marge. They've been friends for like 10 plus years. Like, you could not have picked a worse person
Unless
to complain
it's the smartest move of all time.
Oh,
and she wants a
wow.
storyline.
to. Guess what? It's not.
Let's spin it just for a second. Let's
Okay,
have some fun.
Okay.
She calls the two of them knowing that they will spill the beans to the other person. And now all of a sudden, Jen Aiden is front and center.
Oh, she has taken
just
a
saying.
center, like a kind of a main role here.
Aside from the Joe and
Without Jen? Yeah,
without Jen, we'd have nothing.
nothing, because we'd be talking about Joe and Teresa once again
Uh-huh.
only. So, love it or hate it.
I'm gonna throw it out there. You know what? Maybe Jen's a little smarter than we give her credit for.
But the whole episode is leading up to the love bubble party, which I'm not sure what a love bubble party is or what the theme of a love bubble party is. We talked to Zach about the lady in the bubble in the pool that was dancing.
That we both got fixated on.
Yeah, well, we both. I was concerned about how you would dance unless she was listening to music in headphones. Because if I'm inside of a bubble floating in a pool, and you want me to dance, I can't do that in silence. And like inside of that bubble, all you're gonna be able to do is hear yourself like breathe. Like, that would piss me off.
Yeah, and then the water like rumbling underneath of you as
Yeah.
you're flipping around. I was concerned that she wasn't going to be able to breathe after a little while.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm looking for an air hole or whatever. And I don't know. You know, those are the things that go through our
How
minds.
do you
when
want
we
us to
watch.
focus on the drama when there's a woman trapped in a bubble in
I'm
a
still
pool?
trying to figure out what love bubble even means. And then there's a bubble in the pool with a woman trapped in it. There's just too much going on.
Somebody help the woman in the bubble. But immediately, the elephant in the room is addressed, and people are talking about the fact that Joe didn't show up,
Mm-hmm.
and Melissa's left to her own devices. And to Melissa's credit, like, she does show up to these things, right? Like, she is at least making the effort, and I know it's partly because she is a full-time housewife, has to be there. I get that.
Yeah, it's a big part of the show.
But we've seen housewives pull out of events multiple times. It's not
Or
unheard
way
of.
less serious.
Yeah, so it's not crazy for her to be like, oh, I'm not doing this tonight, especially because Joe won't come with me. And we already talked about that whole thing. We don't have to do it again. But we get to Dolores, and I think a big theme with her has been finding this new life that she wants, where she's not putting other people first, and she's finally kind of focused on herself. And I think that she's earned every single right to do that. I don't think that she owes anybody anything anymore. She's been that mainstay for Frank. She's been that mainstay for her kids. Like, at some point, it is Dolores' turn. And I agreed with what Frank Jr. said before. I mean, I love Frank Sr. I think Frank is awesome. I think he's hysterical. He's fun to watch on TV. But this is Dolores' time.
Mm-hmm.
And if she wants to ride off into the sunset with her new man, like, I don't think it's right for Frank to try to wheel and deal to get it back to the way that he wants it.
You know what I actually thought about is I've been thinking about it like, oh, yeah, Frank needs access to his kids and this and that and whatever. His kids are all, like, full-fledged adults.
They're older. They're good.
You know, like
Yeah.
they can probably drive over to his house. Like, you don't need permission to go see your kids. They can just come over, or
Yeah,
you can
and
go meet them somewhere. Like,
Also, call. Hey,
Yeah.
can I come over real quick?
yeah. So I think I was giving him a little bit more credit than the situation was due overall. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for Dolores because it seems like she genuinely likes Paulie. Like, when we watched her with her ex before this, there was a lot of like weird back and forth that didn't make a whole lot of sense. But this makes sense. Like, Paulie seems like her kind of guy, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but my new role on this show, which I found out, is women's fashion.
Oh, yeah?
It is.
What do we got tonight?
I talked about Danielle last week with her Arrow Pastel shorts, which I'm still waiting on, by the way, because she did say at this love bubble party, those shorts are from a secret place, and I will not tell you where they're from. If you were embarrassed about a purchase of some clothing, it's got to be Arrow Pastel, I think, if they're still in business.
Or
I mean, maybe
American
they're not.
Eagle?
Maybe they are. Maybe they're American Eagle. Who knows? But I do got to say, Rachel Fuda walking in, she looked like she was dressed for the mall. I don't know if you noticed
Wow.
what she was wearing. She was wearing jeans and just a normal shirt,
I-
little top. Everybody else is decked out in their jersey sundresses, looking good. Even Jackie complimented Danielle's, forced, but Jackie complimented Danielle's dress.
It was a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, but Rachel walked in jeans, and I'm like, she looks like she's going to the mall. Not a Teresa
I
party.
think that it's a risky platform.
Oh, I'm going all in.
Hey,
I'm not gonna commit to a week by week bit here, but just be on the lookout. You know,
if you
I'm
wanna
gonna
die on
chime in.
this hill. You're gonna do it alone. But
I won't be dying on any hills.
That's when we get the comment. Teresa's giving a speech, and she just felt the need. And I know we don't see eye to eye on this one, but she throws in there, "This is my chosen family," and I'll let you give your stance in a sec. But for me, I think this is a reminder. Teresa's not all changed. I think that a lot of people, a lot of our listeners might think that because of our last few episodes, we've come full circle on Teresa and we're like, oh, she's great. We're on her side. Like, she wouldn't do anything wrong, which is just simply untrue.
Yeah.
But I think that this, for me, was a reminder, like, oh, yeah, like, she's still in there. Like, we can still, that was calculated. I think that was calculated.
Well, let me ask, if Bravo didn't put in the dramatic music after Chosen, would you have felt the same way?
I can't honestly say either way. I don't know, because I heard it with the music.
I know, yeah. No, that's a good point. Damn. Great point. But that's kind of my thought is I touched on it earlier. She could have meant Chosen being all these friends and family that are here. You're all my family. I choose for you to all be my family. I don't know if it was a dig at Joe. If it was, she's playing the game the right way. Like, this is what you want. Joe didn't show up. Joe cowered out. Whatever. You got to take a shot, and it landed. Because immediately, Marge looks at Melissa and goes, ooh, why did she have to say that?
Yeah, and I think it goes...
And that's just Marge stirring the fucking pot, too. But I think Melissa noticed it right away. And that's, I guess... Look, I mean, if you're guilty of something and you hear something, you're going to think that it's about you right away.
It clearly was about her, though.
I don't know that it was.
Look, it takes a lot. You can say whatever you want about Melissa. She doesn't break down very often.
No, and I feel bad for
She takes it all in
Melissa.
stride. I do, too. I think that, she is in between a rock and a hard place. And I think, some of it of her own doing, for sure. But she's also been put in an impossible situation.
Yeah, and she talked about it with Danielle a week or two ago, about how she's talked to Joe, and you can only talk to somebody so many times before you can actually expect them to do anything, and Joe's not doing anything. Joe's still not showing up. He had a good call with Teresa, still decided not to show up. Left her out to dry. Like, that sucks for Melissa. She has to sit there and take the brunt of it. And yeah, was the exchange with Teresa's daughters a little awkward? For sure. And look, the kids made a very good point. When my mom and uncle are fighting, it's like a wall goes up between us and my cousins.
Yeah, which is sad.
That sucks.
Yeah,
that makes it a little too real for me. And I'm like, oh shit, that really sucks.
Yeah, it was sad.
And they don't even get to talk to their cousins because of what's going on between their mom and their uncle, and that's pretty shitty. And Melissa, I don't know, maybe she had good intentions and she just wanted to check in because she hasn't seen her nieces in 6 months, I think they said.
Yeah,
that's a long fucking time when
really
you live in the same goddamn town to not even just check in and say hello.
Especially when family's the most important thing.
Yeah, well,
quote unquote.
But I don't know. Everybody's at fault at this point. It's just who's going to end up winning.
Yeah, and I think that it's
Not
become a game. No, we're losers always.
Yeah.
But I think it's just become a game. Who's going to break first? And I don't think either will swallow their pride to do it.
Nope.
But the episode ends with Marge, Jen, Aiden, Dolores, Rachel. All of the shit that Jen was talking kind of comes to light. And they're all just kind of screaming at each other. And Jen's trying to play semantics. She's saying, like, well, I didn't mean it like that. I didn't say it like that, blah, blah, blah. I was trying to connect about, like, my terrible nose job, too. Like, we both have terrible nose jobs. Ha, ha, ha. And I was like, what the fuck?
I laughed out loud at that one.
Too.
That was so
It
funny.
was hysterical.
Yeah.
But it's like, this is the problem.
Yeah.
Jen, this is where you get in trouble, is like, just don't say that. Like, do say that, because that was funny as shit.
Yeah.
But, like, you're trying to recruit these women on your team. You just insulted her nose. She's out.
Yeah, I thought that Rachel showing in that situation was a little strong. It was a little forced. I didn't think that she was actually like that pent up. Like the way that she came at Jen afterwards and she's like shouting at her, it didn't seem very real. When Danielle was arguing with Jackie, that seemed real.
Yeah.
Danielle is primo Italian housewife for the show. Like she is so good.
Yeah.
It's been so long since Bravo's had a good injection of new blood. And they finally hit, and I'm happy to say that it worked.
They hit with Danielle. Rachel Fuda has a lot of potential. Jen Fessler is a great comedic relief.
She is. And if she stays in a friend of role, I'm entirely fine with
I think she's the perfect friend of. She's the perfect person to interject to get shut down. Like when she tries to jump in with Dolores, and Dolores is like, not the place, not the time, not the people. Back the fuck off.
Yeah, aside from the mozzarella eating thing, I don't think that she's trying.
Oh, we got a
too hard.
call back to that tonight.
I fucking know.
I know. I wrote it down because I knew you'd be pissed.
I saw it. I was yelling, please don't show it, and they showed it again.
What's up, bros? When I'm not feeling well, the first thing I do is head to the internet, and I Google it and find out that I'm dying in 3 days. So instead of doing that or asking Shooter of all people for my medical advice, I turn to ZocDoc. Thousands of medical professionals are on ZocDoc, and they're there to help you. They listen like a friend and give you the expert care that you need. ZocDoc is the only free app that lets you find and book doctors who are patient-reviewed, take your insurance, are available when you need them, and treat almost every condition under the sun. No more doctor roulette or scouring the internet for questionable reviews. With ZocDoc, you have a trusted guide to connect you to your favorite doctor you haven't met yet. Millions of people use ZocDoc's free app to find and book a doctor in their neighborhood who is patient-reviewed and fits their needs and schedule just right. Go to ZocDoc.com/bros and download the ZocDoc app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. That's ZocDoc.com/bros. ZocDoc.com/bros.
What's up, guys? Shooter here to talk to you guys about Nutrafol. Look, as you age, you start to notice a little bit of thinning hair. Maybe you just want to take some proactive treatment. Whatever you want to do to make sure that you look your best, Nutrafol's here to help. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement, clinically shown to improve hair growth, thickness, and visible scalp coverage. Nutrafol supports healthy hair growth from within by targeting the 5 root causes of thinning: stress, hormones, environment, nutrition, and metabolism through whole body health. Nutrafol has 3 unique formulas to support women throughout all stages of life, including postpartum and menopause. Each formula is physician-formulated using natural, drug-free, medical-grade ingredients in consistently effective dosages so you get the most reliable results. In a clinical study, 86% of women reported improved hair growth after 6 months. 3,000-plus top doctors and stylists recommend Nutrafol as an effective and high-quality solution for healthier hair. You can grow thicker, healthier hair and support our show by going to Nutrafol.com and entering the promo code BravBros to save $15 off your first month's subscription. This is their best offer anywhere, and it is only available to U.S. customers for a limited time. Plus free shipping on every order. Get $15 off at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code BravBros.
Now we are back in Miami. I love that thing. DJ Rockstar. Where'd you find this one?
It's pretty good.
Right? I could be the LimeWire guy.
Yeah.
But we're back in Miami, and we're going to speed through this one a little bit because the main focus was Adriana the whole time. We can't speed over the beginning.
No.
We get the aftermath of one of the worst things ever said by a housewife. Adriana compares her foot to Frankie's accident, which is night and day, apples to oranges, not comparable in any way, shape, or form.
And
the
then
worst
she doubles and triples and quadruples down.
Exactly. Like, you need to just swallow all of the pride in your body and immediately say, whoops, I am so sorry. But instead, she tries to explain how they're both potentially accidents. My foot could have been gone.
Gone.
Broken into a
I forgot
million
that she was attacked by a
pieces.
shark.
Like, what the fuck? 2 of your friends fell back on you while drunkenly dancing or whatever. That's not the same thing.
No.
And for you to sit there and repeatedly say it's the same because they're both accidents is wild. And then, if that's the stance you're going to take, you cannot stand up at dinner. Absolutely not.
No.
That is banana land.
Let alone dance.
Let alone dance. I don't care that she wasn't stepping when she was dancing. You can't. You simply cannot.
No, at this point, you have to go all in and get your foot amputated just to make a point.
But here's what I think I realized throughout the whole episode. and that's why this is pretty much just going to be Adriana corner today.
Mm-hmm.
I feel so bad for Adriana
Why?
because she is scared. She's lonely. She doesn't know what to do with her future. She's just trying to get support, and she's not good at it. And so
you
she
are a big
keeps-
softie.
I am a big softie.
You haven't been a big softie recently.
I haven't because people have been pissing me off. But I
Yeah,
got back in
alright.
touch with my emotional side,
Good
which
for
is
you.
where I thrive here.
Okay.
I thrive here. Here's what I'm seeing. All of these things, all of these acts that she's doing that are being taken horribly wrong because they are horribly worded. She is just trying to like hold on for dear life to her friends because she doesn't have anybody else and she's panicked. She's losing alimony in a year and a half, which
Mhm.
makes all the sense in the world. It's starting to like really sink in like, fuck, I'm going to be on my own. I don't have anybody. So she's looking to her left and her right. Okay, I need to reestablish my friendship with Alexia. Alexia is surrounded by Marisol. Marisol is not cool with me. Panic. Wrong thing said. Fuck. Shot herself in the foot there. Or
Nice. No,
yeah,
that works.
Like that. I was like, leave it there. But you see it repeatedly. Everything that she does, she always brings it back to herself because she's trying to garner the most sympathy possible because she wants people to feel bad for her because she wants people on her side. I think that she's just scared, alone, misunderstood, not good with words, not good at articulating what she's feeling in the moment without overstepping. But I don't think she's a bad person.
I don't think she's a bad person either, but if she had even everything that she said was inexcusable. So there's just nothing there.
I'm
And
not
it's-
defending anything.
No, I know that. I know. But like as far as like a moral compass goes, when she says something like that, she is immoral. Like there's no way around that. Like
No, there's not.
I get people go through shit all the time though. Like figure it out. Maybe what you need to do is cut out some of these so-called friends because they're not supporting you. Maybe go find new friends. Go find friends that will allow you to date whoever the fuck you want without digging up their court documents.
How dare you assume that at her age it's that easy to just find new friends?
I think there's apps for friends.
Okay, she's gonna go on like friend
Friender.
Bumble,
Friender.
Friender.
Yeah, I think that's a thing.
Yeah,
We'll
Friender.
go on Friender and find some friends. Or maybe just walk around the streets of Miami playing your song and it'll bring everybody together.
You can't.
Which, by the way, like I've heard that song a lot. There's no chance in hell that's her singing.
What?
No chance in
What a
hell.
bold claim to make.
It's just
you're
not.
taking.
I
the-
don't care. She
Dude, no.
must be sitting on the couch
Fuck
like
this.
mumbling it, and then the auto tune just like
I will
overlaps
not
everything.
stand for this. That is the one thing. That is her one lifeline, keeping her afloat.
I thought there was a new song too. I didn't realize that she was just doing the Miami's on Fire.
Oh, there's a new song.
I thought it was a new song. I thought there
Oh,
was
the
a new
release
song.
party.
Yeah.
No.
No. I thought that the music video that they were shooting back in the early episodes was a different song, and I was like, oh, good for her. She's got another song. No, I mean,
Well-
she does have more than one song, but I don't know. Figure it out. I mean, she'll find someone. She'll figure it out. She's got kids that are getting older, so she's not alone.
All of these
She-
things
she
make
makes it
me.
out
What
to-
do you mean? That's more alone because her kids are going to be out of the house. She's going to be an empty nester. She's panicked. This is all a product of panic because she's losing everything. She doesn't know what to
You
do.
know what?
And she's going to be on. I think the alimony
Okay.
being gone in a year and a half has really made her realize her situation. I think that up until that point, she's not worried about taking care of herself. She's not worried about, and I mean financially only. Like she's not
Yeah.
worried about that stuff. So I think with the gravity of that setting and like, fuck, I'm about to have to do it all. Who do I have on my team? Fuck,
Julia.
that's it.
She ignores Julia though.
I
That's
know,
my
that's mean. Yeah,
problem.
that's true.
Julia is so nice to her, and Julia talks in her confessionals about how she loves Adriana.
That's true.
She would be there for her all the time. Adriana's sitting over there pining for the popular girls.
That's
You
fair.
don't realize what you have at home. You've got Julia, who, by the way, empty nester, trying to get Martina to adopt so that they're no longer an empty nester. You can have a really good friend in Julia who's also going through some shit, being an empty nester and being quote unquote alone. She has a wife at least, but you can get in there because you know what? Martina, she goes and skis in the Alps. She goes out to Aspen. Julia's alone a lot. Go hang out with your friend who actually likes you. Don't pine for these other girls who don't like you.
Fair. Fair counterpoint.
That's what bothers me with Adriana.
That's fair. Look, I'm not saying that she's blameless by any means, by
No.
any stretch of the imagination. What she said was horrible, and she doesn't deserve to be defended for it. She needs to just sit in that guilt, apologize, and move on from it. I'm saying the root of it is just sheer panic.
Well, not to mention, Julia did stand up, and I fucking love that she just dumped a bucket of ice on Marisol.
She tried. It didn't really go.
Kind of like hit her in the neck.
Marisol
area.
needs to go, dude.
I can't
She's
stand her. Guess
brutal.
what, dude? She's on Ultimate Girls Trip. That's going to be fucking fun,
Well,
right?
here's what I
Los, I know you're listening, buddy.
Los, my man. That's the funny thing, by the way, Los. Let's get into that. I defend this man. I get no love. You get all the, even when you're a dick to him, he's like, I don't know why I stand for this guy. He's never even said my name. So you know what? Flip the script. Fuck you, Los.
God, I can't imagine. Like, I saw that she was on Ultimate Girls Trip. And I'm like, God, I don't even know who else is on it. I just saw her face. I'm like, fuck me. We're skipping that one. Just kidding. We're not going to skip anything.
We're not.
And now, once again, we are on a reunion episode again. So we're going to skip a little bit through Summer House here, but we got a couple of things to touch on. Mainly, it's a little bit leftover feelings towards Kyle and Carl and how Danielle fits into everything. And we get the tail end of that dinner, which nothing really happens. It seems like they, kind of squash it a little bit, at least enough to move on, and they get to go out. But the next day, Paige is setting up a nice tea party, and we get one of our favorite mainstays in Bravo shows, a good old-fashioned butler.
We love a good butler.
Oh, yeah. And we
good,
always...
objectified butler.
Yeah, poor guys. These poor guys go in there. Like, could you imagine if it was the other way around? No chance in hell. These guys come in here and they're like, let's take that shirt off. Let's do this.
It's just eye candy immediately. Like, oh, I hope he's hot. Like, this poor man.
He's just here to do a job. And they're yelling his name from outside. But it was a pretty, I guess, enjoyable episode aside from, everything else that's going on. But, of course, we get to have Danielle FaceTime Carl and Lindsay right away.
Why, man? Like, I think Danielle inserts herself into way too many situations. She needs to just butt out. And I'm glad that Paige said something later. Like, why are you involved in this?
Yep.
Like, why are you doing this? This is none of your fucking business. And furthermore, I think it's crazy for anybody that is not in a company to comment on that company. Like, for you to say what should or should not be happening with Kyle and Carl's relationship, you have no idea the ins and outs as far as the business goes. So don't speak on it. Anybody. Like, anyone that's on the outside looking in, you don't know. So shut up.
But we also get to see Carl completely stand up and say, if I was gone, this company would be fucked. I find that very hard to believe.
There's just
no way. And look, yeah, Carl's not drinking anymore. His sobriety's great. But at the core, he is still kind of an asshole. Like, he was. There were, seasons ago, he used to say, I'm the best looking guy in all the Hamptons.
Yeah,
He's got this ego about him that never really made a whole lot of sense. And yeah, he was a lot of fun. In a social aspect, that's great. It's partly on Kyle hiring his best friend during, the lowest part of his life to be in a company and then expect him to perform. Now's the time that you would expect him to perform. He's sober. He's going through a good life change. He has a good life partner, we think. And he's just not doing anything. And he says that he's working 90 hours a week. He says that the company would be fucked without him. And yet we see on the other side, Kyle's saying that no, that's not the case at all. There's no chance in hell. And part of me wants to think like this could be, kind of for the show. Like maybe they're playing this up. But then I quickly come right back down. And I don't think that Kyle would use his company that he's trying to make money on.
I don't either.
In a negative way, like cast a negative light on it for one of his top workers, one of his VPs, to not be working all the time. Like, that doesn't really make any sense. So, I'm sorry, but I have to side with Kyle on this. He goes about things the wrong way. He gets too drunk and yells shit. I love his storm outs.
They're so good. When
funny.
they had the back-to-back-to-back-to-back.
I'm fucking done with this shit.
Dude, it was so good. That was my favorite editing sequences I think I've seen.
It was so
just funny as shit. But let's not forget, Carl's FaceTiming with Danielle from California on a trip that he didn't tell the higher-ups about and that he missed meetings for.
Yep.
I need people that are listening and people that comment and people that watch this show to take your emotion out of this whole thing and look at this from an employer-employee standpoint, period, because that's what we do. This isn't about the fact that Carl and Kyle were friends. This isn't about the fact that Carl's made major life changes and he's sober now. We love that. Love a good sober
You're
camaraderie.
gonna say sober king.
No, that would have been better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love a good sober king.
There you go.
But I think that the root here, like what we focus on above all else, is just the business side of things.
Yep.
You need to perform. If you want to raise, first of all, you know what? That just reminded me, and I'm going to bring it up now because I'll forget.
What?
Danielle does this, and she did it last year, and I commented on it. I'm going to comment on it again. So last year, she was trying to stir some shit up when Kyle was going through it with Amanda. Like, they were having a tough time right before the wedding. Kyle confided in Danielle when he was a little lit, but he was saying that we don't have anything in common right now.
Aside from the business. Yeah.
Aside from the business, referring to him and Amanda.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, right? We don't have anything in common right now. When she retells the story, it comes out, Kyle said that Amanda and him have nothing in common.
Yeah.
Period. That's not what was said, and it's a very different connotation. Fast forward to this year, and Danielle's going over the conversation with Carl and Lindsay, and she says to him, yeah, and he was saying all this stuff, like he's so coked out, and like now he wants a raise. No. You, Danielle, were the one that spilled the beans to Kyle that Carl wanted a raise. Kyle had no idea what Carl wanted because he sent him a convoluted email that he took 3 weeks to write
that's
that
the other
didn't make
thing.
any sense.
You expect to get some sort of clarity out of this fucking email. Like
Nothing.
that was the end of the conversation that Kyle had with Carl. That was a quote unquote hard conversation about Carl's future. I've been trying to get this email going for the last couple of weeks, just trying to get everything, all of my emotions into words so that I can let you and the managers know what's going on. And he sends this email and there's nothing there.
Nope.
So you're working 90 hours a week. You take 3 weeks to send this fucking email. And I feel like I'm in deja vu land because we already did this, but it just doesn't make any sense. Nothing is adding up. And look, I'm all for a good firing. I don't think that Carl realized that that was potential. I think that he was sitting around like, oh, I got to think about my future and maybe I'll just stop working for him or maybe he'll give me a raise. Maybe if you're a dick, Kyle's just going to fucking fire you.
Yeah.
I don't think that he thought that was an option. And it clearly is because Kyle texts him and just says, I'm done.
He says, I'm done.
I'm into that.
And we finally have a real conversation between Danielle and Kyle. And I think you can kind of see it like happening in real time.
Mm-hmm.
I think Danielle finally understands like the level in which this has gotten to. I think that she took it as like a chance to be like a knight in shining armor. Like, I'm going to stand up for my friends. Like, this is bullshit, Kyle. Like, you're running this blah, 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 blah. And then she realizes in that moment, Kyle's like, no, this is fucking impossible.
Yeah.
I'm in a lose-lose situation. I don't know what to do. I'm panicking. I have to answer to my bosses and my investors about Carl. Like, I'm the one fielding these questions. I am in an impossible scenario. I don't know what the fuck to do. And she finally realizes, like, oh, all right, this isn't just Kyle, like, talking shit and, like, not caring about Carl. Like, this is a real situation. And Danielle doesn't even know what to say to the point where she's like, you need to have a conversation with Carl.
Yeah.
Yes, Danielle, that's what's had to happen the whole fucking time. Yes, Carl. Yes, Lindsay. Carl and Kyle need to get locked in a room together and just figure it the fuck out. Kyle's handling it terribly. I'm not going to sit here and defend how, like, no, obviously don't air out your employee and call him a cokehead in front of everybody and on national TV. Not a great look. On the other side, Carl, do your fucking job, dude.
Or just have the conversation with Kyle. He's supposed to be your best friend.
Yeah, just talk about it.
You can't take 3 weeks to write an email.
And then not write anything.
You can just talk to him. Just sit down and be like, yo, man, we're going to the Hamptons. Do you mind if we just drive up there together?
Well, who could have possibly put in his head, write an email?
Yeah, well, we all know that happens. But I will say, at least it seems like the show's getting a little bit better from the party aspect.
Yeah, it was
we
fun.
are still talking about Kyle and Carl and the business all the time, but they are at least staying out past midnight. So I will give them that. The newbie Sam, a shitty one night stand. I mean, the guy didn't. Who the fuck knows? But then he stays for breakfast.
He needed to leave.
He
But
should've-
did you see? Oh my God, he's dating Madonna.
What?
You didn't see this?
No.
It came out today. He's legit. So he trains Madonna's kid.
Oh,
He's now
my
hooking up with Madonna.
God.
Yeah, it's all what a comeuppance for
Holy
that guy.
shit.
Yeah.
Is it a comeuppance? I mean, financially.
Financially. I mean, look at it how you want to, but the man's dating Madonna. which I didn't see
God,
coming.
I'm gonna need a minute.
Yeah, are you good?
No.
Yeah, just rocked your world, huh?
Wow. Here I was just gonna rip him for staying at breakfast too long. Dude should have been too embarrassed to just see you later.
Apparently it worked, but he should have kicked rocks. That would have been the smart move. I thought it was really uncomfortable when he's saying goodbye to everybody driving. Like, you're in their house.
Yeah, he was waiting for an
leaving to
Uber or
go
whatever.
home.
He also, like, when he woke up next to Sam, was like, I feel like I just found, like, a really good friend in you. It's like,
Yeah,
dude, come on,
bro.
man.
Just get up, put your clothes on, and bounce,
Yeah.
my guy. You're not going to win that battle.
No.
But thank the Lord we are back to Vanderpump because I missed it last week. I'm not going to lie. And we're just going to talk about this week's episode. We did catch up on last week, so we're up to speed. But I think that it's become pretty clear that the main focus of at least the early episodes is going to be Katie and Schwartz, and rightfully so. It's something that I think we all kind of want to see shake out. We get a confessional from Katie, like right out of the gate. And this made me sympathize with her a little bit because she's afraid that the group's going to end up taking sides.
Yeah.
That they're going to pick between her and Schwartz, and she thinks that they'll pick Schwartz, and they probably will. And this isn't even a knock on Katie because I'm not a huge Katie fan. This is simply Schwartz gets along with 90% of people. He doesn't like to cause drama or like be the center of drama, I should say.
Yeah.
So I think he's the easier one to pick out of the two. I don't think they should have to pick.
No, they shouldn't. And as long as, now obviously those lines get a little murky, but as long as the boundaries that you're setting from within your own divorce are met, there really shouldn't be any issues. But obviously we see that they're not met or potentially not met.
We're at Tom Sandoval and the Most Extras. We actually gave away free tickets to this show. I thought it was the show we were supposed to go to, and we couldn't because of scheduling conflicts. So I was texting you, like, pissed off. I was like, dude.
Yeah, I know. We never would have lived that one down.
No, like, we
and then
missed
when they came
that.
back and it said Agora Hills, I was like, oh, that's the one outside LA.
Yeah, we didn't actually end up going. Or that's the one we gave free tickets to. But are we not? We're not there yet. Are we there yet?
Yeah, we're there.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And this is where I have an issue with Raquel. I'm actually enjoying watching Raquel this season only because it's a captivating story in which we're seeing a character that has been pretty reserved, pretty quiet, kind of like trying to figure out her own life. And it's tough, and she's got a lot of things going against her, but I'm enjoying watching her like try to navigate it. What I don't like, I don't think it's her place to pull Allie aside and talk about James's indiscretions with Lala.
No, but I think that Allie is using Raquel a bit to get more information on James.
Oh,
so I
interesting.
do think it goes both ways because you see, I think it was Allie actually that walked over to Raquel and said, hey, do you want to take a step outside? Like, she's making a friend out of James's ex-fiance. Like, that's kind of weird in its
she
own
pulled
right.
her out.
Yeah, and she's
Raquel
been
approached her.
No, she's been seeking her out. Like, this is the second or third time at least that, and I get it because like Raquel was really nice to her the first time that they met. Allie made a couple of weird comments, but you know, it seems like they got past it. It does seem like Raquel is taking this opportunity to shit on James, but Allie's taking the opportunity to be friends with James's ex-fiance. So she's kind of asking for it, is what I'm saying. Like, if she didn't befriend Raquel, then Raquel probably wouldn't go out of her way to be like, hey, watch out for him.
I don't know.
Don't do this, don't do that.
I think old Raquel, no. I think this Raquel is kind of looking for drama. She's kind of like,
I would agree with that, yeah.
I think she's trying to start some shit because she feels scorned. And like, I can't imagine being engaged to a guy, dating him and being with him for 5 years, calling off the engagement, even though she's the one that called it off.
Yeah, if she was the one who was scorned and she was out for blood, it would make more sense to me.
But it can't be easy to then, like, this dude turns around a month later and he's in another relationship.
No, that can't be, yeah.
Like, and then you find out.
But again, you called off the engagement, so do
I
you have any
agree.
right? Like, we have to talk about this with Katie and Schwartz, too.
You're right.
Like, do you really have any right to be like, no, you can't do this? Like, I'm going to sabotage your relationship now because I feel some type of way about you getting a relationship too soon after I ended our relationship. Like, yeah, do I think that Raquel should have ended it with James at the time? Probably. I mean, their relationship sucked and he was cheating on her. Fine, whatever. But to then turn around and sabotage his new relationship because you're still mad about that, like, that part doesn't really make sense. I don't think she has the right to do that.
I don't think that she should be the one telling Allie about the indiscretion because Allie already knew about it, one. two, it just comes back on Raquel, right? It looks bad on her, and James is the one being a piece of shit. So, like, it should look bad on him.
Right.
And the way that James handles the whole thing is terrible, but that's par for the course with him. He just kind of always says the wrong thing because he gets defensive. But the fact that he tried to flip it when Raquel calls him out, like, unfortunately, my guy, because you are one, castmates, two, you were engaged, you do owe her this explanation. Hey, you fucked Lala when we were dating.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if it was her. I love that Lala always spins it like it was early on. Like, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Like, you were together. Period. It's not early, late, middle. It's whenever it happens, it's cheating. And for James to sit there and be like, well, you're hooking up with Peter, and, like, I have to sit there and watch you make out with Peter, and, like, blah, blah, blah. Dude, stop.
I thought it was pretty funny that he was like, should I go to her new boyfriend and tell that guy that, you know, she doesn't suck dick that great or at all? I laughed at that.
That's not funny.
I laughed at that
That's
one.
not, but here's my thing with that is, like, if I'm Allie, I'm like, what the fuck did you just say?
But
like,
she knows who he is. Like, that's the...
Then why is she with him?
Because she likes it.
James Kennedy is fucking gold for TV.
Yeah.
All right? He is reality TV gold. He is a piece of shit.
I mean, I wouldn't
either
date
way.
him. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like, I wouldn't date him. I wouldn't want anyone that I know to date him.
No. But like, if you know all this shit and you claim to, like, have your eyes open,
she could be cloud chasing.
bro,
Who
if
knows?
you're I think that that's part of it. But I think that if you feel the need to seek out the ex in any relationship, not just TV, if you feel the need to talk to the ex, you know the answer.
Yeah.
But the whole episode hinges on the Raquel Schwartz stuff. Now, what do you think? Is Sheena being an asshole trying to force this? Is it her trying to be a good friend and help people move on? Is it a little bit of both? Where do you stand on the Sheena aspect?
I think she could be. I mean, she is friends with Schwartz. Like, she could be genuinely wanting him to move on. Do I think that she had him on the podcast at that time because it was good for her numbers? Yeah, for fucking
Well, the same
sure.
with 5 weeks after Raquel calls off her engagement, getting her on the podcast is
Yeah,
also
like,
extremely
but
opportunistic.
you know what? That's fine. That's podcasting. Opportunism.
Opportunistic.
I don't even know.
Opportunity.
Opportunity. But no, I'm actually fine with that. Like, I don't really care. But as far as a friend goes, she's not friends with Katie. She doesn't like Katie. She makes no qualms about the fact that she doesn't like Katie. Katie doesn't like her.
She was a bridesmaid in Katie's wedding.
Yeah, but they don't like each other now.
Okay,
And
but
before the podcast aired, they still didn't really like each other. So I don't really understand. Like, I think that she was, in a sense, trying to help out Schwartz, trying to get him to move on. And he was appreciative about it. He even said it to Katie later in the booth. He said, she's just trying to help me out, trying to help me rediscover myself. You saw his apartment. It's a fucking wreck.
it's a disaster.
He's got nothing going on there. He's dressed up, and Sandoval's telling him he needs new clothes.
He does. He's wearing gym
Definitely
shorts
needs new
every
clothes.
day.
Yeah. And Sheena's telling him that he needs to get out there and start, like, talking to people and just moving on with his life. He does need all of those things. So I think that can be true. I think I think there's a little bit of malicious intent in what Sheena's doing. I think she knows that putting that idea in Raquel's mind is going to spark something.
Sure.
Just kind of like pushing her towards a target, because Raquel is also unhinged right now. So it's like the perfect storm. And do I think that Sheena knew that Raquel would immediately be like, ooh, I guess I could make out with Schwartz? No. I think that she just wanted to, spark a little bit here, spark a little bit there, see what happens. And it happened pretty quickly. I don't really know what else to think about it. Again, like, we have to have the discussion of, can Katie really be mad when she called off when she called off the marriage about what Schwartz is doing? Yeah, I guess, like, they work together, girl code, whatever you want to say. That's kind of shitty because it's really close. But at the end of the day, like, you don't want your dating life to come out so that he hears about it. Why are you trying to find out information about what he's doing?
That's fair, but I think that it's important to note that it's in front of her face and it's one of her friends that she's actively trying to, like, further a relationship with. I think that my biggest thing with all of it is, in any normal circumstance, right? If we're not talking about a reality TV show, this is our friend group,
Mhm.
right? I think it's pretty cut and dry if there's a divorce, that nobody is hooking up with one of the friends.
Yeah.
Like, I think that goes without. You don't have to have a pact because it just shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's
In
putting
this
the
sen-
emotion back into it. So that's what, like, when I'm watching it, I don't have any emotions towards any of them.
No, and
I'm like, I don't
appreciate
give a
that.
shit. Like, they're adults, let them do whatever they want. But yeah, when you break it down to a little more close to home and you paint a picture of, somebody that you're close to, it becomes a little different.
Yeah, and it's fucked up. I think that the whole situation is fucked up. I don't think it's cool. I think that there's a lot of people in the wrong with it. However, you're divorced.
Mm-hmm.
You're divorced. The dynamic that you guys have currently is already weird to me. I don't think that it's appropriate. I don't think it's smart. I think that you are leaving.
It's maintainable.
It's not. It's not sustainable by any way, shape, or form. And you still have this codependency on one another that you're not allowing yourselves to grow from and move away from. If you feel that it's okay for Katie to come over to Schwartz's apartment immediately after the podcast and ask and dive into, what did you say? What are you talking about? Blah, blah, blah. And I know it's about your divorce, but hey, you're divorced. He doesn't owe her that explanation anymore. And he finally realizes that later in the episode. He's like, oh, I don't have to do this now because we're no longer married.
Yeah.
I feel for Katie. I think that it's shitty. I think that Raquel's in the wrong. I think that you shouldn't even cross that boundary. I think there are outliers here because it's a TV show, because it's a reality TV show, and because they're paid to stir up some shit. So I think it's an impossible ask. I do think, though, that they need to both, her and Schwartz, and I think we're going to see it happen regardless. You guys are divorced. It is over, right? And that is hard to say. It's hard to deal with, I'm sure, on both sides. Katie's clearly going through it, and I feel for her there. Schwartz is going through it. He's a fucking mess. They need to give each other the space to grow, and then they can try to come back and have a relationship. But if you're going to do this shit constantly, and the first person you turn to is your ex, not ex-boyfriend, ex-spouse.
We do at least know that we are getting Oliver next week.
Yeah, I know.
A little Garcelle, perhaps, in the episode, too.
a little
Warming up for
crossover.
Beverly Hills. A little crossover. Everybody loves a good crossover. But I do want to talk really briefly about Greg.
Fucking Greg.
This is an anti-Greg podcast.
We are not Team Greg.
I could not stand when he's sitting there with the three of them talking about the bar and opening, and Sandoval says, yeah, we were thinking about August 26th because it's a month from today. And Greg's like, when you think something, text me. Like, we need to know. And now we find out that Greg is shutting down almost every opportunity that they have to open up. And you hear from Lisa talking about how they're sinking $25,000 a month in rent into this. And Greg wants everything to be absolutely pristine before they open.
Oh, let's clarify.
They need to fucking...
They is not Greg. Greg is paying $0.
Yeah, Greg owns the lease. So that's really his input for the whole thing. And why he's managing anything makes no sense. They need help, obviously. But when Greg's sitting there and he's talking about what needs to be done, can you tell me one thing that Greg said that needs to be done?
He didn't say anything.
He didn't
I'm
say
so glad you noticed
anything.
that. Thank you.
Not
'Cause I'm
one
like, well,
specific
what the fuck
detail.
do we have to do?
We've got things that need to be tied up. We've got issues that need to be absolved. Like, what are you talking about? What specifically?
We finally found out
Tell
from
us.
Schwartz later. He goes, we're still doing menu testing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. I was wondering what's going on
does
because
Greg
Greg doesn't
know
say
that?
a fucking word. No, Greg sits there and just
I
revels.
think he saw an opportunity to I hate to say it, but he's taking advantage of two guys that have never owned a restaurant
He's
before.
clout chasing, one.
Yep.
Two, I think he gets off being like the hard ass restaurateur on TV,
Yeah.
and he just looks like a douche nozzle.
Yeah.
Like, the guy needs to take his fedora and get the fuck out of here because I'm sick of watching Greg. He's such a buzzkill. Like,
Yeah,
he
the
just
dude
really
sucks.
ruins my
And it's got to
vibe.
be hard enough for the Toms to open this restaurant and have all these things going on, like the show, like the family coming down to do the restaurant opening when the restaurant's not really even open. Like, there's a lot going on there, and you're trying to test servers, but in like a party atmosphere, and you've got your bartender drinking, you've got the owners all over the place, they're drunk, everybody's boozing. These servers are not going to know what to do. Like, do they remain professional? Is this like a party? Like, you can walk into any restaurant and see what kind of restaurant it is based on the servers. Are the servers partying or are they taking their job seriously? Greg wants them to take their job seriously, which I actually agree with. There you
Well,
go, Greg.
Uh,
But you got to figure it the fuck out and actually help. It doesn't look like Greg's helping at all.
Greg's not doing a goddamn thing. And secondly, it's the first fucking night. It is a celebration. It is
but
a
the
party.
servers shouldn't be boozing.
The server shouldn't be boozing unless the owner of the fucking restaurant walks up and says, hey, take a shot with me.
Which they might be doing.
They did. He said that.
Yeah,
Schwartz
but
literally said, I took a half a shot with him. Look,
That's on Schwartz and Sandy.
I agree, but should they be behind the bar drinking? No. If they look out and see everybody else that works there drinking, they're going to think it's okay to drink. I'm not condoning being drunk on the job. I'm saying if it's opening night and the team is following their leader's lead, you can't penalize them for it later on. It doesn't make any sense. Like, yeah, it was a party. Schwartz and Sandy have been trying to open this fucking place for a year. They finally have a night where they can like debut the bar, so they're having some drinks. They're cutting loose. It's fun. It fucking should be. When they start running out like actual business, it's, you know, a night to night thing. We got 100 tables tonight to serve, like whatever that. Yeah, you need to be on top of your shit. You need to make sure everyone's locked in. But the first night, Greg, you're gonna fucking be a dick about the first night. And also, everybody involved said it went off great. It was a great first night. So shut the fuck up, Greg. Last but not least, part 2 of the Potomac reunion. And look, they got another episode coming out next week. I thought this was a good episode.
I thought this was going to be the like penultimate, and then the third one was going to be Robin.
I did too, but no, we get the husbands next week, which I was surprised because I thought that this was like the big one, and I still enjoyed it. I thought it was a solid episode. So next week we get the Chris stuff. I think that's one of the better 3-part reunions we've seen, assuming it goes well.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going well, and I again have to give Andy credit. I feel like there were a couple times where I felt like he could have dug a little deeper.
Yeah.
Which is usual. I mean, I feel like that happens. And maybe he did. Maybe they decided to cut it. Whatever. But not a word from Karen, really.
Nothing.
At all.
No, she chimed in once, I think, for like briefly, but then like backed off pretty quick.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she's saving it for Charisse, which I don't really care about.
No, that storyline's so tired.
It's going to be just filler for next week. But we start out with Gizelle, and Wendy's still going off about how every time Gizelle sees like a happy marriage, there seems to be a pattern with her. Like she sees people happy and she decides that it's her job to insert herself and ruin that marriage. We saw it with Chris and Candace. We saw it with Eddie and Wendy. It seems to me that when Gizelle sees these things, I don't know if it's like her own personal demons. I don't know what the fuck it is, or maybe it's just like an easy target. Like,
yeah,
hey,
and I
just
think
make a storyline.
I think she's just deflecting from her personal life, and like she doesn't like to share the things from her personal life. Which
I love
is like
that Andy called her out on that, by the way.
Yeah, that's one of
I
the
wasn't
times
expecting
that I gave him
yeah.
credit to, and he was just like, "What? Why? Like, why do you deflect these things? Like, are you afraid to talk about your personal life?" And she finally did open up like later with the hysterectomy, but for the most part, like we never really do see Gizelle talk about what's going on in her life. She's always just. She shows up with Ashley and her friends for whatever fucking reason. She shows up over talking to Robin about what's going on with Chris and Candace. She always has something to say about someone else's situation. And I found myself wondering, like, why is Gizelle right next to Andy? I mean, you've got Karen on the one side, Grand Dame, you know, whatever. She only said a couple of words, but she still is, you know, the Queen
Grand
of
Dame.
Potomac. So you've got Gizelle on the other side, and I'm like, why the fuck is she here? It's because she has instigated herself into every storyline, and none of the storylines are her own. She just wants to spill the tea and stir things up and do this and that. And it gets so tired to watch, and I'm so happy that all of the other women are just calling her out on her shit. And like we don't really get to see that in the other franchises. There's always packs. And like, yeah, there's Robin and Gizelle, and they try to help each other out whenever the hell they can. But there's too many other women that have problems with Gizelle directly. So when one person brings it up or Andy brings it up, the rest of them chime in, and I love it because it really does put her into a corner. And when we finally get to have her talk about her personal life, she says, we're not going to do this right now. And Andy's like,
later.
Andy's like, no, we'll talk about it now. And she's like, okay. Like she wasn't prepared for it. She thought that she was going to be able to deflect and then jump in later when she has to help out Robin, or jump in later when she has something shady to say about someone else. It's like, just fucking like have your own storyline or don't, and be friends with whoever you're going to be friends with, and then get involved in their shit. But like, don't insert yourself into every little detail of all of the shady shit that's going on.
Yeah, and I think that a big part of it is Andy and Gizelle are friends.
Yeah,
Like,
we
they're
can see that.
friends.
Yeah.
And I think that's why she was like, "Oh, we'll talk about this later." And he's like, "No, we're not." And it took her by surprise. But the funniest thing, before we get to that part, she makes the statement, I feel like we're just talking about semantics right now. It's like, Gizelle, that's been the whole thing with all of it is semantics. The way that you're wording things was the fucking problem. So yes, and Andy, again, W for Andy. He's like, yeah, we're talking about semantics. That's what we've been talking about is semantics. Like, you want to twist words to fit your narrative. You said last week, Chris apologized. We moved on. No, he didn't. Chris said, if I made you feel uncomfortable. That's very different. That is fucking semantics. That's what it means. So the whole thing hinges on semantics. And now you want to throw semantics out the window? Then your whole thing goes to shit.
Yeah.
You just lost your entire platform of semantics. But shifting away from her just briefly, because we're going to get back to her later, Ashley is surprised that Deborah's story didn't line up. And not even 2 seconds later, Deborah claims that the camera and audio were messed up, so it didn't fit what Chris was saying.
Yeah.
What the fuck do you mean? It literally...
We don't care what Deborah claims.
No, and Deborah's the one that said there's a lot of Chris's out there, but she claims that Chris said that. Like, no, you said that. And now you're going to use the audio and the camera don't match up. Get the fuck out of here.
Ashley could just do everybody a solid and be like, look, like I'm friends with Deborah. She told me something happened. I brought it up to the group, and this is what happened. And now that I saw what happened and how it played out, I realized that she was wrong. And that's where it was.
And
instead, she's like, yeah, but, you know, the editing, she claims that the editing and audio doesn't really match up. It's like, oh, my God. Like, seriously, if the story matched up with what Deborah was saying, Bravo would have put it on there. Do you think that Bravo would ever leave that to the wayside just because they want to, support Chris?
Absolutely not.
No. This is a good storyline that maybe could have vindicated Deborah, could have vindicated Ashley, could have shown Candace to be blindly supporting her husband, and a whole fucking shitstorm would have followed. Instead, I think that Bravo tried to exhaust every resource they had in the editing and realized, holy shit, they're just making this up. Well, let's just roll with this and just show how many times they make it up.
Yeah.
And we are so thankful that that happened. But if there was any dirt there at all, even a slightest bit of dirt, they would have put it out there. There's no way.
Put it out there. They wouldn't have kept that from the viewers. There's just no way. But Wendy brings up a great point. She's like, because of all these shenanigans, the men in our lives are now terrified to talk to any of the wives.
Yep, and
Like,
Chris said that last week.
yeah, like there's no way that there's going to be any relationships between these couples because all the dudes are going to be like, well, I'm not going to talk to you because you're going to claim that I was hitting on you. I'm not going to smile at you because you're going to claim I was hitting on you. Like, there's no safe space anymore for these dudes.
No, and I feel like that's the problem that Potomac has had for seasons now, from what we understand. It's always about going after the husbands. It's always about cheating scandals. And look, like Michael Darby's right fucking there. If that's what you want, then there you go. Here he is on a fucking ladder.
Just because he's gone doesn't mean he can't keep burying
No,
him.
but like we don't see that in other franchises. And like we see it in Jersey with all the husbands showing up. They don't have that issue. So it's fun to see the husbands there.
Yes.
Now we're watching on Potomac and they're just fucking scared shitless to say anything. And now, thank God, we finally have Chris standing up for himself and freaking out and being like, fuck you. And then feeling sorry about it and apologizing to Ashley later.
Apologize.
But seriously, like if I'm one of the husbands, I'm staying off screen. I no chance in hell am I giving anyone any dirt.
In this
In
franchise?
this group,
No
no
shot.
chance in hell.
Zero.
You don't see it anywhere else because that's not a problem on any of the other shows. It's a problem on this show. They need to stop doing it.
But do you see
for us
why?
to take it seriously.
Just click. Do you see why? They saw the blueprint with Michael Darby and they're like, oh, this is easy.
This got us a lot of
Yeah,
viewership.
we want a lot to. Chris talked about it in our interview. And if you haven't seen it yet, go to YouTube and watch it or listen on Spotify or whatever. But he thinks that all of this fake storylines in all of the franchises stem from like season 5, I want to say, of Potomac, when we got the Monique and Candace kerfuffle, if you will.
Kerfuffle, I like it.
Kerfuffle.
Yeah.
But from that moment, their numbers spiked because it was captivating television. You watched two women fight on TV like it was a big deal. Numbers went through the roof. He thinks that because of that, it set a precedent for all the franchises that if we drum up some drama, if we create some shit, it'll lead to more views. So I think that we've run into that problem with Potomac because they also have this blueprint from Michael Darby okay, he's a scumbag. That got a lot of attention. Let's use that.
Yeah.
So Giselle's using that to try to use that to her advantage. But I'm really glad that we had a good episode out of Andy because we watch it kind of happen. And you already brought it up. And it's when they're talking about her surgery, right? And she went through a really traumatic event. She had to get a hysterectomy because they had, I think, lumps on her uterus. And she tries to shut it down. She says to Andy, like, we'll talk about this later, in a very friendly way. That's where I was like, oh, shit, they're tight.
They're tight,
She's
yeah.
like, no, Andy, like, I'll tell you later.
Yeah.
Andy's like, no, we're talking about this shit right now. And we see Gizelle get choked up. We never, ever see Gizelle get choked up.
No.
She gets choked up and starts talking about her surgery. And here's the funny thing. I connected with Gizelle in this moment. Emotionally, like when she lets the walls down and speaks from a real place and talks about this was really hard on me. This was hard on my girls. It was scary. It was supposed to be 3 hours. It turned into 8.5 hours. I was supposed to go home. I didn't. That sucks. That's a really shitty circumstance. And it's a tough story. And it probably resonates with a ton of women out there. And it's something we want to see. I want to see vulnerable Gizelle. I want to see Gizelle be real because when she is, you can connect with her.
Yeah, I mean, the scenes that she has when she's a great mom, she's a great mom, and it's nice to see. Yeah, and it's infuriating to me that this so-called blueprint where you have to take down a husband or start some cheating scandal or whatever bullshit to try to get views, you're making things up. You're having your friend make things up, Ashley. You're having whoever make things up, Gizelle. You've got Juan Dixon sitting over there, who, by the way, is going to be absent from part 3 of the reunion. Very coincidentally, I'm sure. His schedule didn't really line up. He's sitting over there, and there are very real cheating rumors about Juan Dixon over there. But Gizelle doesn't want to go that far to make up this storyline to get these views. She won't cross Robin because that's the last straw. But you got to see that, like, look, Wendy's fucking tired of it because Eddie got thrown under the bus.
Yep.
Candace is tired of it because Chris got thrown under the bus this year. They probably had an idea that Juan was doing this. They didn't jump at the gun to throw this in there. They didn't want this to be the storyline anymore because they've seen what it's done to their marriage. And if there's no proof, which now there is proof, but if there was no proof at the time about Juan, then they're not going to do it. Because it's shitty to do that to a marriage that's happening right then and there. And then we get the fucking dumb shit at the end with Mia, where she throws Wendy under the bus and says, oh, yeah, well, you want to talk about Peter? Like, you went out for a business meeting with him, and then you gave him a little bit of the cookie at the end of the dinner. Like, no, she fucking didn't, Mia. We're not doing this anymore. There's no reason for us to do this anymore. You're just trying to break up a happy marriage. I don't even think that you're trying to break up the marriage. You're just trying to sound cool and make something iconic for the show and drum up some special views or whatever. Just leave it alone. Find a good storyline. Get into fights with each other about some dumb shit that you said when you were drunk. Find some dumb shit to drum up here and there or whatever, but leave the marriages out of it. We got to add it to the rule board.
Rule number 5, leave the marriages out of it.
Leave the happy marriages
unless there's proof.
Yeah.
And to that point, did you see that shit that came out with Juan and that other coach from Coppin State?
Oh, yeah.
Like, he just doesn't care.
No.
Right? Like, he doesn't give a fuck. He's asking for reasons for Robin to leave.
No, I mean, it just makes sense as to why he was so dragging his feet about the wedding and why Robin was, too. I think Robin knew about everything.
How about the fact that Robin has the gall to say everything we do should be filmed?
Yeah, okay.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, here's what doesn't make sense to me, and this is across the board on Bravo. If you're currently involved in something that's sketchy or shady, don't comment on somebody else's sketchy and shady business because it's just going to come out and you're just going to look dumb. Like, if nothing else is true about Bravo, this is. It always comes out. You know that people are going to find out about Juan, so don't dig a deeper hole. Just shut up. Don't talk. Let it happen. Let it play out. You don't have to back up Gizelle here.
No.
Okay? Giselle's getting it. She's getting a run through from Andy. Like, it's happening. Let it happen. And then everybody can move on. This is how reunions go. He takes his turn with each one of them. He goes after all of them.
Yep.
It's your turn now. I'm going to tell you what you did wrong and why you suck. Now it's your turn. Now it's your turn. That's how it goes. Stay out of it if you have a dog in the fight that you don't want people to know about. Period.
That's a good point.
Back off. But back to what you were talking about with, like, the Wendy and the Mia part of everything. I don't think that we gave enough attention to how bad that whole interaction could have gotten at dinner. Like when they played it back, I was like, Mia was swinging.
Oh,
She was swinging at her, but you had that dude in between them. But she was taking swings. Like she's like, you assaulted me. I was like, you know what? I don't like to throw words around, but it's as close as you can get to assault without actually assaulting somebody.
No, and I love that Andy actually brought it back when Gizelle was trying to defend Mia for, again, whatever reason, because she doesn't like Wendy. And she even said that. She said, well, when Andy asked her, what are you doing? Like, you can't look at Wendy and understand. She just got a drink thrown into her eyes. Like, see how she feels. Like, this is how Mia made Wendy feel. You're talking about Chris, how Chris made you feel, but you're looking at Wendy and completely discrediting the whole thing. She goes, well, that's because I don't like her. And it's like, what the fuck?
That's
like, that is so dumb. Like, that's so bad.
And it just discredits everything. Between that and then the semantics comment, everything that you have said is now out the window.
Yeah.
Because you contradicted your
Zero
entire
credibility.
argument. Yeah, this is where you were coming from. This was your whole entire season. And you yourself just shot it down. Because you don't like somebody? So your reasoning for fucking up Chris and fucking up Candace's life is because you didn't like him?
Mm-hmm.
Are you shitting me? You're going to make some accusations like that because you don't like somebody.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of
She's
here.
not friends with Candace,
That's
so
ridiculous.
she doesn't care.
Yeah, and for her to go in then and try to defend Mia, it just doesn't make any sense. And this is another part where just stay out of it. If something doesn't involve you and it's going to hurt your story, shut up. It's not hard. But this is where Andy gets like a big thumbs up from us, and we'll give him credit where credit's due. We do not hate Andy. We just call him out when we don't agree with stuff, and we also give him props when we do agree with him. But he questions Ashley on her stance on violence. I guess your stance on violence changed because you're cool with this, but you weren't cool with it before.
Yep.
And then that's when he does the Gizelle comment, like, you said that you have feelings about this. What about their feelings? Like, you want your feelings to be validated. You deserve the same for everybody else. So I love that Andy was kind of pointing fingers at everybody in the room. And then it comes to a very serious note. And this is something that we've gotten questions on this, I think, the whole season.
Yeah.
Every time I say, like, give us your questions, the topic of colorism always comes up. People always want us to comment on colorism. And I thought Andy did a really good job of setting this segment up with how he said it, and I'm going to kind of mirror that.
Mm-hmm.
As two white guys, right, we can't really comment on the colorism on the show because we don't know, right? Like, we've never been in a position where we need to comment on it. It's something that, as Andy said very well, it's our role to sit back, listen, and learn. It's not our place to make comments about it, how we feel about it, where we see there is or is not colorism, because we've never experienced it. We never will experience it. And we're not going to sit here and try to comment on it as though we know, because we just simply don't.
I do like that Andy just took a step back and he reached out to them before the reunion and said, how do you guys want to approach this? I'm kind of just here for whatever you guys want to do. And they agreed, let's talk about it amongst ourselves instead of having a moderator, instead of having anybody else kind of interject. We'll just kind of take it on ourselves to talk about it. And I thought that was great. I liked that, Candace started them off and kind of just worked through the whole thing, and they all had an opportunity to speak on it.
And like, there were some people I saw that weren't thrilled with how it went. They thought that maybe it should have been dove into more, and maybe so. Again, it's not our place to say. It's our place to learn and to listen and just kind of hear what they have to say on the matter. So we're going to leave it at that and move on to Jacqueline, who we haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah, that's okay with me.
I thought that she deserved a chance to defend herself.
I think, yeah, she deserved a chance to defend herself. And I said in the beginning of the show when we were talking about the news with Peter and Mia and G and everything going on, I kind of forgot how much I disliked Mia until Jacqueline came back and they brought up all of those things and showed Mia. Look, do I think that either of them are correct? No. It's a 15-year friendship. They're like sisters. There's a lot going on. I just hate the way that Mia goes about it.
I do too. It's
why do you have to do this to your quote-unquote best friend on national TV?
Borderline sister.
Yeah, I just don't. And also, neither of them made good points. They both brought out their fucking boxes full of receipts and all this bullshit. Neither one of them said anything of substance that I really cared about. It reminded me of a storyline that I was like, yeah, I don't really care about any of this.
That takes us to the question portion of the show. And up first from Elisa T 1215. I think I nailed it. What do you think about Margaret always trying to create her team?
That's a good point. She does always try to create a team. We talk about people needing to team up so that they can get a little bit more power. I think Marge kind of figured that one out a while ago. I don't know. I think it's probably a pretty smart move.
I think it's the Game of Thrones theory.
Yeah.
You know,
she's Cersei.
You gotta combine families to take down the other ones, right? Like,
That's
it's just you need.
I think she knows how to play the game. Like, she's been in it so long, and she seemingly comes out of each season unscathed, and in spite of kind of going through a lot of shit every season.
You know what she is? And we get these in professional baseball. When you get to like AAA,
yeah,
there's a lot of guys that get stuck in AAA and they go up to the big leagues for like a week and then they come back down and they spend like 5 years doing this.
Yeah.
And they just turn into the saltiest vets and they're fucking mean, but they're still there. Like they still hang on to playing pro ball because they just are able to like go play for like a week and come back.
Mm-hmm.
But they are so miserable. But they know how to play the game to stick around. And I think that Marge is a salty AAA pitcher.
All right, there you go. I like that.
Ooh, this is a fun one to say. From Papachiola. I don't know if I said that right, but
I like it though.
I like that one. Do you think that Melissa had the right to be upset at the party? Was her reaction justified?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it before. I feel like Joe hung her out to dry. I feel like she's been kind of dealing with a lot on her own and being there. You know that Marge doesn't give a shit about you. Like, Marge just wants to stir shit up. She's not there for like a shoulder to cry on in that situation. So I really do think that Melissa felt completely alone in that situation, and she did what she did.
I don't even think that the tears were necessarily in regards to just the comment that Teresa made.
No,
I think that it was
everything.
a culmination. Yeah, it's everything that she's got going on, and I think she was fed up and just kind of cracked finally.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's just because the comment was made. From Blackbeard601, are you going to change the RHOP taglines currently in your intro? No, probably not.
No, that would take a lot of work.
Yeah, no, it works fine the way it is.
Captain Blackbeard.
Yeah, Blackbeard601. It's not Captain.
Captain Blackbeard.
He's not Captain. He's Blackbeard601.
Yeah, but you know Captain Blackbeard.
You're assuming this man's a captain?
Could be.
We don't know. We don't know his...
Pirate ship.
Okay. We're getting off track. Ooh, I like this one. From Snarky XTS. Why does Marge get a pass for no storyline? She just runs her mouth about everything.
I guess she sort of is like Gizelle, honestly.
I think that you need to recognize that there are different positions for these teams.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some people are the forward. You know, you need to drive the team. You're the leader. You need to be out there. Did I get it wrong, center?
No, I just don't know where you're going with this.
Just let me work. All right. Let me do it a little easier. Someone needs to be the quarterback. Okay. You need the quarterback on the team, right? They are the storyline. They're the mainstay, whatever. You also need the linemen. The linemen are there to protect the quarterback. And by protecting the quarterback, that's with different tools. I'm trying so hard to bring
What
this
is
back.
Marge?
Marge is an offensive tackle.
Okay.
All right. And here's why. She doesn't run the team, but she is vital to their success because what Marge brings to the table is running her mouth. It is the comments. It is stirring up shit.
And Marge doesn't do the same thing every year. Like she's I don't want to say she starts shit with different people, but she ends up, like we talked about before, with getting her team together. Like, she teams up with different people pretty much every year. She doesn't have one main friend like Gizelle has Robin, where it's just like really annoying. Marge just kind of freelances around there.
She's a freelancer.
She's a free safety.
She's a free safety.
There
Thank you. There we go. And our last question here from, fun name, from Travel While You Twerk.
Oh.
Do you think Gizelle paid attention to the backlash and that's why she's backpedaling?
No, I don't really know. I think that she realizes that what she's saying has no substance and everybody's kind of teamed up against her at this point, including Andy.
Yeah.
So I think she has no choice.
Fair. I agree.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that's it. That's good.
All right, bye.
Bye. No, but that's all we got tonight. Reminder, the Chris Bassett interview is now available on all streaming services. It's available on YouTube. Please subscribe to YouTube. We got like a ton of new subscribers on there, and we're trying to push to 1,000. So get those numbers up for us. Remember to follow us on Instagram at @brav_bros. Follow us on Twitter at @brav_bros, and follow us on TikTok at BravBros. No underscore there. I think I might mix
That's
those
it,
up.
yeah.
Just look for BravBros. You'll see us.
We're big enough now that we'll pop
Yeah,
up.
you'll find us. But also, we are on Cameo. If you want us to convince your significant other to watch Bravo or shoot the shit about Bravo, or our most recent one, they got a thirst trap out of me because we were late to
Can't
give them the
promise that
Cameo.
moving
Can't
forward.
promise that. Unless we're on vacation and can't fulfill the Cameo, then you might get a thirst trap from
Yes.
Shooter next time. But but other than that, get ready for the fucking live show, man.
Yep.
I can't wait.
Month and a half, almost 2 months.
Something like that. April 27th. We'll see you down at the City Winery. Other than that, Brav Bros are out of
See
here.
you next week.
Bye.